Today we are at London Heathrow Airport. We stayed the night here at Heathrow at the Sofitel Hotel after arriving yesterday evening from JFK. We flew first class on British Airways, but unfortunately I did not shoot enough good footage to review this flight. And it is a shame. Our outbound flight was really very good. I'll put a link in the comments to that flight review. But this flight was very mediocre. The food was bad, very bad for my wife, which needed a special meal. And the cabin crew were not bad, but very disengaged. The takeoff footage I made was very bad, and as was the landing footage, as the cabin lights were left on and it was dark outside. I basically filmed myself in a mirror, and who wants to see that? As we arrived on British Airways in first class yesterday, and we are flying in British Airways back home today, we can still use the famous Concorde Room here at Heathrow Airport. We can also use the first check-in. This is reserved for passengers flying in first or have a gold status and above with British Airways or their partner airlines. Once you have checked in and cleared the private security lane, you are entering a tunnel that takes you to the first lounge. A bit confusing, the first lounge is not the lounge that you have to use if you're traveling first class. That is going to be the Concorde Room, and we're going there right now. After checking in, we headed straight towards the restaurant section. You can order the food from anywhere in the lounge, but we prefer the booths. The menu has all the breakfast options you need, and a manager came over to help my wife with her order as she has to eat gluten-free. The coffee came out first, and by the looks of it they're using a full automatic machine. My wife had the Eggs Benedict with ham, not on a muffin but on gluten-free bread, which was toasted. I went with the Eggs Royale, basically Eggs Benedict with smoked salmon instead of the ham. After a late breakfast, we moved into the lounge. It wasn't that busy, so we found a nice place to sit. And I must mention our server, which really was the best, very attentive, very friendly. I had an old-fashioned, and for you guys, for the vlog, I forced myself to order something from the afternoon menu. However, I was still quite full from the breakfast, so I just went with a starter. The starter was actually very good. I went with the air-dried beef carpaccio that came with artichokes and a truffle dressing. It was much nicer than I expected. We are flying from the main terminal here at Heathrow, Terminal 5A, so no train for us today, because that train goes to Terminal 5B and 5C. The plane was already boarding as we arrived at the gate, so we walked straight on, and I had no time to film the aircraft from the outside. Our plane for this flight is an 11-year-old Airbus A320. And this version comes with the lovely noisy IAE V2527 engines. That one is for the geeks. We're flying in business class, which British Airways calls Club Europe, and we're sitting in row 1. This is Euro Business, which means a regular seat with the middle seat blocked. However, this version comes with a tray table over the middle seat, and that is something which I think is unique to British Airways. Legroom, as you can see, is ample. Why did I say ample? We are pushing back on time, and we also departed on time, which is quite rare here at Heathrow. On the shorter flights like this, there's a bit of flexibility built in. They'll claim it is a 1 hour and 20-minute flight, but in reality it's a 45-minute flight, wheels up and wheels down. Unlike the other airlines, British Airways does manage to feed us on this short 45 minutes flight and serve my wife a gluten-free meal. This is something KLM and Lufthansa, among others, don't seem to manage. Other than the obvious avocado and the tomato sandwich, we can't really remember what was actually on the sandwiches. I also got the afternoon tea, smoked salmon sandwich, roast beef sandwich, and in the dark which my third sandwich was. Do notice how thinly sliced the bread is, penny saved. Also on my tray some clotted cream and jam, and those are meant for a scone, which I was offered but I declined. And I had a nice gin and tonic. I can pan the camera over to the other side of the cabin as the row is empty now, so you can get a better view of what I mean with Euro business. The cabin crew were very good, very professional. They really had to work hard to get us all served, but they still remained very friendly. The cabin itself was holding up well. It's an 11-year-old airframe, and I don't think it has been refitted yet, so it's doing well. So let's go through the numbers. We paid for this flight with Avios, which is a British Airways form of miles or points that you can collect. We paid 62,500 Avios, that is for 2 business class return tickets Amsterdam-London. And that equals around £625 if you do 1p per point. If you buy a cash ticket now for 2 return tickets in business class, you come around the same figure. So we didn't make any big savings, but we also didn't lose anything. As far as Euro business class goes, I think BA offers decent value. I've tried KLM, Lufthansa, Austrian Airlines, Swiss, SAS Plus, Baltic Airways, Iberia Express this past year, and I think of those Swiss and British Airways are my favorite at the moment. Let me know in the comments which your favorite Euro business airline is, and maybe I'll try that next. But as you can see, my list is incomplete, and there's more to come in the future to make this list complete. As we crossed the Dutch coastline, I did notice it was quite suddenly, and as we were flying into my local, I was pretty sure that we were going to be landing at runway 06, which is a very short taxi to the gate, so good news.
Very warm welcome to Amsterdam. The local time here is 1 hour ahead of that in the UK, making it 4:05 in the afternoon. Make and receive calls as well as use all data services on your handheld electronic devices. Before leaving the aircraft,
as we departed on time, we arrived about 25 minutes early, and there were no gate agents to be seen to hook us up to the jet bridge. As we were waiting, we had a nice talk with the cabin crew, and then the captain came out of the cockpit. And of course, as an aviation geek, I asked him if he would make a quick shot of the cockpit. I handed him my camera, and he did make a shot of the cockpit. And what a shot, tremendous style. This wasn't his first time using a camera. What a great guy, it was very nice of him to do that. Do share in the comments if you have a nice story with friendly cabin crew or pilots. For those wondering, I did tell him I would blur his face, but he said that wasn't necessary. I don't film cabin crew, and if I do it by accident, I will blur their faces. It was really a great ending to a good day flying. Saying that, of course, the ground handling at Schiphol let us down after a 20-minute walk. We still had to wait 40 minutes for our cases, but that didn't break our spirits. Thank you for watching. Do like and share this video. Leave a comment if you have any questions or if anything to add to my experience. Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.